Okay, it's time for another
Mindset Monday.
Right, this week's episode is all about limiting and stuck dogs. Limiting and stuck dogs.
Empowering beliefs.
Limiting and empowered beliefs. So what do you mean by limiting beliefs? Well, I'll tell you a little story. Years back, a friend of mine who's probably the strongest guy in the whole wide world. He's certainly been Scotland's strongest man a few times, Big Larry. And I used to go down and do a bit of training now and again, lifting stones. It's interesting because as a gym goer, you tend to know your numbers. You know how much you bench, you know how much you squat, you know how much you can put above your head. And that sometimes creates a limiting belief, because then when I took one look at the stones and I said, how heavy is that stone? He was like, oh, this was a 90 kilo stone, 100 kilo stone. Right away I was like, oh, well, that's kind of pushing my boundaries there. So right away I'd given myself a limited belief. So we've got a fight going on at our feet here. So right away I had a limiting belief based on what I thought I could lift. Whereas I've got a few clients that are farmers, and it's kind of that kind of thing where you say farmer strength, you know, and it's they believe they'll... Nala, come here.
We just tie them up.
Yeah.
Right, that's enough. That's enough. Hey yo.
So we had to tie up the puppies because they were scrapping again.
Bloody puppies, eh?
But they'll stay quiet for the next couple of minutes so we can finish this one.
You've got to love them, but you've got to hate them as well.
Yeah.
So, where were we?
We were saying, what about farmer strength, you know, so it's a sort of joke if you like, but you know, a farmer knows that this bale has to go from A to B. He doesn't think about the weight of the bale, he just says this has to go from here to there. He just gets it done. Whereas somebody that's a gym goer will be like, oh, how heavy is that bale? 40, 50 kilograms. Well, that's about, and then they start to psych themselves out based on knowing the number.
Yeah. And the number, people often say, you know, the numbers in the gym, you know, numbers on a dumbbell or something, it's just there to put you off. And there is a bit of truth behind that. I remember actually when I moved the PT studio, so I got all this equipment delivered and it came on pallets. And I was trying to get the pallets cleared by the time they had basically dropped them all off. There was like 3 pallets to come and they were taking ages to get them off. So when it got dropped off, I was like, if I can strip that pallet down, it means they can take the pallet away with them again. Yep. So I was just like ripping it to shreds, taking all the stuff in. I didn't really think about the weight. I came back and the guys were like, did you do that yourself? I was like, yeah. He's like, Jesus Christ. But you don't really think about it. And when I went back to think about it, I was like, actually that was a hell of a lot of weight I just lifted. Yeah. You know, I was just ripping things off because I wanted to get it done.
So basically you didn't limit yourself by looking at it going, well, I can't do that by myself.
Yeah. It's often when the motivation is bigger than the thoughts of I can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's either you can or you can't. And often they say what you believe is true.
Exactly. So if you believe you can lift something, or believe you can move something, or believe you can achieve something,
you can. You're right. If you believe you cannot lift something or achieve a particular thing, chances are you can't. It's what you believe. Now, there's obviously exceptions to the rule, like can you fly to the moon unaided with no rockets, etc. No, you can't. Okay, yeah. So there are exceptions. Obviously, that's the extreme of it. But in life, there are certain things that are absolutely impossible. But I guess the idea of this Mindset Monday is to think about your current situation and all the little things that you believe. Now ultimately there can also be things that you're unaware of. There can be beliefs that you're unaware of, and you go about your everyday life with these beliefs as almost like a foundation belief system that you don't really think about anymore. The point of this is challenge yourself. Challenge your own situation and see what you can achieve.
I mean, just going on that, I was just thinking there, it just came to me while Stephen was chatting there, was about, I had a client of mine who could only run 5 miles. And I said, what do you mean you can only run 5 miles? She has this route that she does, and it was a 2.5 mile loop, and she'd do it twice, 5 miles. And that's all she could run, because at the end of that, she was gassed. So I actually did something sneaky, because I was like, right, okay. So I found an area that had a 3.1 mile loop, and I did that twice, and I kind of lied to her at the time. I was like, so you can only do 5 miles? She says, oh, that was, what did you say it was, 4.5? I was like, actually that was 6.2. And suddenly that was because she put the limiting beliefs in her own head that she could only run 5 miles because that was what her loop is. So sometimes taking yourself out of your norm and putting yourself somewhere else where you don't know the exact mileage, or you don't know what the weight is, or whatever it is, it's the barriers that you put in place, take yourself out of that situation and a little bit into the unknown and just get it done.
The other thing to think about is, as soon as you believe something's not possible, or if you want to do something you think that's never going to happen, like some of you watching this might be millionaires, okay? Most of you probably won't be. So if you want to be a millionaire, people say, oh, I'd love to be a millionaire, but it's never going to happen, okay? The really nice way of looking at it is, what would it take for you to be a millionaire? What would have to happen for you to be a millionaire? So rather than thinking about, oh, it's impossible, and pushing it to one side, or giving yourself that belief system, because then you end up acting on a belief system. Rather than doing that, you then start to empower yourself. You start to think about the solutions rather than the problem. Okay, so rather than thinking I could never be a millionaire, or I could never have a six-pack, or I could never come to Scotland to see the Kilted coaches, rather than thinking about, oh, I could never do that, start thinking about what it would take to actually achieve that. What does it take? Even if it's completely out there, and it takes a hell of a lot, there's always a stepping stone, there's always the next step, there's always the next rung in the ladder that will make you closer to that particular goal. Always.
It's like the whole thing, I'll never win the lottery. But you've got to be in it to win it. So these people that say, I'll never win the lottery, probably don't play the lottery.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're right, they're never going to win.
They're never going to win it because they're not playing it. But so it's...
Now, I think the main message for this is not to go out and be a millionaire, or have a six-pack, or come to Scotland to see the Kilted coaches, although that'd be awesome. Yeah. The idea is, start changing your belief system. Everything is possible. Now, the main question I would like to pose is, what is more beneficial to your current situation? Which belief system is more beneficial? The limiting belief system or the empowering belief system? If you think, I would like to come to Scotland to meet the Kilted coaches, right? That'd be cool. We'd love to meet all of you. Rather than thinking, I'd love to do that, but it's impossible, think about, okay, of course it's possible. What would have to happen? Now, you may still never come to Scotland and meet the Kilted coaches. However, you've then created this system in your head, and you start to wire your neurons in a different way that becomes more empowering. So everything in your life then becomes more possible. Every little goal becomes more possible. If you want to be a millionaire and you start thinking about, what would it take for me to be a millionaire? Rather than just saying, I'd never be that, and go about your life, you start thinking, what would it take? You start to create these little scenarios in your head which then manifest themselves in your life. So although you might never be a millionaire, you might go from earning 50 grand a year to earning 75 grand a year. You're still not a millionaire, but you're a hell of a lot better off. Okay? It's more empowering. And that's the main message.
Empower yourself, don't limit yourself. Let's go get these puppies.
Let's go and get them.
Look at those cute wee buggers. Crying away. Oh.
Look at the size of Nala's ears.
Look at your ears, look at that tail.
I think Nala's definitely going to be bigger
than Tilly, right? Oh, until he's sitting all cute.
Hi, Dal. Hi. No.